the first full day of our Vows Sesshin. And thank you for joining on Zoom. And we apologize for the technical difficulties last night. We got those working, I think. I want to acknowledge the retreat participants today, the Sesshin participants, for really deep, authentic, and generous work. And so I'll talk a little bit about what we did through my lens today. So today we started with our lived experience. Often long before we started practice, perhaps. But nonetheless, our journey, our experiences can tell us a great deal about our vows. And we were brave enough to go and tap into some of those today. From my perspective, we do this to gain insight into our particular form of Bodhisattva vow. We alone can discern the expression of our particular work, of our particular vow. How do I manifest? Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. How do I manifest? Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. How do I manifest? Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. How do I manifest? The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. These are the timeless questions, the unanswerable koans that is our life. We sit in silence to experience this mystery directly. I say it is here right now, and it always has been. We honor our ancestors and we honor our place in the universe when we directly open our hearts to experience the vows we are. Not the vows we want to be, but the vows that we are. It sounds like an easy task to discover the vows that we are. But for me, it will take my lifetime and then some. So to honor our work today, I want to share work that I did 18 years ago. When I was compelled to use my life as my teacher. When I first heard the Bodhisattva vows, I thought the one that sounded the easiest was Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. One of many delusional thoughts. So we were looking at pivotal moments today. "18 years ago, I was demoted and given 3 months to leave the company to which I had devoted my working life of 25 years to. It was more than a job. It was really my adult family. I worked hard, but was rewarded with endless relationships and learning and interesting days. It was my identity, and in an instant it was gone. In a very public way. I was humiliated. I was ashamed. I was grateful that I was given 3 months so that I could help place 250 people that worked for me. And the vast majority did continue with HP. But walking around the site, all my many colleagues and friends averted their eyes when I came near. Not sure what to say. One provided comic relief and said, "Is this like Dead Man Walking?" So at age 50, I was desperate with 4 college-aged children and no prospects, in Corvallis anyway. A friend connected me with a highly regarded recruiter. When I met with Brett, he said, "I can see what you've done. Have so many experiences. There's so much breadth. I could feel my ego inflating just a bit." And then came the word we all dread, but. But I cannot represent you. I can see what you've done, but I have no idea who you are. And I suspect neither do you. I didn't recognize Brett as a bodhisattva at that moment, surely. I felt utterly alone and depressed at a level that I've never experienced. I wasn't reaching out, but a friend reached out to me, had heard what had happened, and said, "Well, why don't you lean into that question? Who are you?" So I did my version of today's session on the dining room table. I bought a big roll of butchered paper, just covered the table. And I just started to puzzle on this question. I went back, started tracing experiences, sort of a timeline, but not really. Times of fulfillment, or when I was in the flow, let's say, when I felt natural at ease, some times of difficulty or times of transition. Because I truly didn't know the answer to the question. The second day, I sort of lost myself in the research. It was really an activity that I was starting to enjoy, using my first grade art skills and drawing. Hardly noticing my family's concerning looks as they walked through the dining room, what was going on. I went and looked for photos and letters and different kinds of memorabilia to return to some of those pivotal moments. To really try to bring them alive. And they were actually soothing, reassuring, grounding. I could see who was there. I could recall our conversation. Some cases I could feel someone put their hand on my shoulder and encourage me, correct me. They were all there. On the third day, I realized there were patterns. There were things that were reoccurring. At the times when I felt really natural and doing the work I should do or can do, there were certain things present. And in some of the most difficult times, including the one I was in, many of those things were missing. It was always about the people, the relationship, and the commitment to the work we were doing in a very cooperative way. There was wonder, and a willingness to fail. It was always okay. I sensed that the answer to the question that was given to me by Brett was somewhere there under my nose. That night I had a dream, or a series of dreams, and there were those kind of dreams I don't have often, vivid, where I could smell, could feel sensations on my skin, could hear things. So vivid that when I woke up, I wasn't quite sure which reality was the real one for a minute. I was reliving childhood memories of something that I loved to do. And that was starting campfires. When we go backpacking, often we would ask the question, who's going to be the fire starter? The rules were no paper and one match. No fire, we eat dinner cold. Which is not that big of a deal. I always wanted to start the fire. It was a mystery wherever we ended up to see what was there, what fuel, what kind of moss. What were the conditions? Was it windy, humid? All of those things matter. So in this dream, I watched myself, or I was with myself, I guess, as I let some specific fires I knew were at least real places. And after gathering all that material and those resources, the magic moment was always when the match was struck. Because at that point we had no idea. I had no idea. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. It didn't matter. So the next morning, I was trying to shake this dream off when I walked upstairs and looked at the dining room table and realized that that's what this was. I didn't know what to do with it. But somewhere I got the idea, why not turn myself into an offer? Why am I trying to fit into a box somebody else designed? Firestarter was a little too weird for a tech company, but I came up with a name for it. And a couple days later, I got into one of the leaders in HR that I knew. And when I came in, she averted her eyes, I think afraid I was going to ask her for something that she couldn't provide. But I said, I've got some good news. And she said, oh. I said, I've decided that I'm not going to be applying for any jobs. And she said, oh, okay. I said, but I do have an offer. And before I leave, I want to know, I thought I should check if anybody would be interested. So she looked at me and said, well, what is it? And I told her. About 5 minutes. I said, do you think anybody needs that? And she said, oh yeah. There's a lot of people that need that. Let me make some calls. So for 18 years since then, my professional and personal work was aligned. It was aligned with the vow that, unbeknownst to me, was flowing through I don't know if it's a bodhisattva vow, or if it's one that has just moved me to another part of my life, another time in my life, where other vows will start to move through me. But it wasn't my choice. I was completely unaware. The Buddha taught us to investigate our direct experience. To investigate our direct experience in seeking the truth. None of us share the same experiences. None of us share the way vows are expressed through our life. It is only possible by entering the boundless Dharma gate. Regardless of what one finds. I don't know how my experiences, dualistic as they may be, as relative as they may be, fit into this mystery. Maybe I never will. But I do know they fit. I'll close with a poem I wrote about my vow some years ago. The moment. May we experience the moment. A spark appears in the world. New futures pulsating in its core. Looking for our presence to survive. May we experience the moment a spark ignites in the world. Flickering and growing patiently, producing waves of energy, heat, and light. May we experience the moment. We are the spark in the world. Calling the universe to our side, giving ourselves to the blaze. To spark the next waiting fire.